Yo, 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 what is going on, CoD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we have some more KVK war action popping off in ST1-18. Now, in this group, we have Kingdoms. We'll show that off to you now. 119, 120, 21, 24, 25, 26, 29, 30, 34, 39, 41, 42, 40. It's a long list. 47, 48, 50, 51, and 54. Now, here on the north side of the Zone 3 in Atherin, right? Because remember, we're back on the T1 season map, or the T1 map, right? So this is like Tamaris Season 2, technically. We have fighting in the final zone with LTS, LAW versus BD, PS, BP, and LADW. Now, on the north side is basically the main fight. If I was to zoom out, you would see that there's two passes. For those of you that know the Tamaris Season 1 layout, right? You got two passes on the left side, or the west side of Tamaris, west side, and four passes on the right, or the east side. And so what's happening is that you have LTS and LAW who are coming from the northwest pass on the west side, or top left of the Zone 3. Or Zone 4, I guess, technically. And then you have the other four alliances that have more or less each taken their own pass. And this is like the big culmination. We'll zoom out and show you what's happening too as well here in a moment. But this is like the first big fight that's happening. And from what you can tell, they've just started, right, getting close to flags. Like they got 36 minutes left on this one. You see the battle that's going on here. And then they have, I don't even know how much longer, 19 minutes, right? So they're going to get this flag down, remembering that they already have they already have the bridge access. So they control the bridge. And they've already built, I think, 3 or 4 flags down south from the bridge as well. Let's see if we can hang out here. Ooh, look at this. This is actually a decent view. This actually might be the farthest out view that I've been able to get so far, luckily, but I'm going to take it. So as we're watching now, let me give you some power numbers as well for the fight, just so we're all on the same page here. So here in ST1-18, it is pretty leaning. Almost similar to when we recorded ST1-17 earlier. I don't know if I'm going to put this up on the same day. Probably we might just break this up into 2 releases. However, on the LTS LAW side, they have 21 billion power. And I think I took this yesterday or this morning. And with LTS coming in at 13.3, good thing I have my water here. And then LAW at 7.8. On the other side, BD, oops, let's go down here a little bit. On the other side, we have BD at 10.5 billion, PS at 10.7, BP 5.5, and LADW at 7.2. So you have 21 billion on the LTS LAW side, and then you have 33.9, pretty much 40 billion on the other side, right? So on the BD, PS, BP, and LAW side. Now, of course, we'd have to look at, I mean, you're looking at about pretty much 13 bill power difference between this 2v4 situation that we have going on. Now, of course, we still would have to look at the T5 breakdown for how that looks off of top players, and we might do that here in a sec. Whenever some of the fighting dies off, usually whenever there's kind of a lull or a slow point, I like to be able to cover that. Ooh, took me a few minutes. I got decent sleep too, I'm telling you guys. Hopefully the water helps. Oh, we just ate some food too. Okay. So let's see what's crack-a-lackin' here. So pretty condensed on both sides, right, for the fighting that we're seeing right now. Usually, in a lot of cases, right, what we like to really see, and you can see right now, wow, LTS LAW pushing BD back a little bit, getting closer. There comes that Lilia Veln rally right now. I wonder if we're going to see the move through here that we should be seeing from the recent update as well, if they are able. Oh, so a little bit. It looks like some of the units there are kind of going through ish, so to speak, maybe. But like here in this case, right, what we'd really like to see is them spreading out all the way here, right? They're kind of a small gap here, but for the most part, right, you can see they're really just condensing here. Same thing on the LTS LAW side. Like, we're not really seeing like quality spread right now. That would probably be the biggest opportunity. Now, again, I understand they want to protect the flag, and they are pushing. But you still want to spread so you reduce the amount of AoE damage that you're taking. Now, in some cases, if you just feel that your power in that moment is overwhelming, as though there's really nothing that you feel is going to, you know, really impact you. And the example here would be if you're looking at LTS LAW. Like, let's just say they have more powerful players online at this specific moment in time. They have more activity. Nothing necessarily wrong, I would say, inherently with balling. It's just that unless you're going to use that, like most of the times when we talk about balling, is you want to kind of use your ball in a way where you're taking advantage of a dispersed enemy. But the thing is there, and we talked about this in the war video yesterday. That's like if you're trying to like deep dive into your enemy's territory, and you're kind of balling, but you're snaking right through it, where everyone's kind of moving in unison, and you're just kind of like picking off stragglers, like here, you know, one by one. In this case, if BD spread out, they would not only take less AoE damage, but they would hopefully have an opportunity to inflict more AoE damage than what they have been doing. Because if you're taking less damage, your DPS output stays alive longer, because you're not taking a lot of that unnecessary, what's the word I'm looking for right now? Splash damage. There we go. That's what we're trying to say. But here comes LTS and LAW pushing in right now. It looks like they're going to start taking down the builders right now on the tower. Pushing BD back just a bit more. Oh, the Divine Mercy, Terrifying Inferno, the Acid Breath come in. Ooh, that Cyclone Blade being thrown out. Ooh, that Shadow Games, massive negative purple damage there. Oh my gosh, was that negative 4, 5, 6K that we ended up seeing there? Burst Strike coming down, negative 9.5. Ooh, geez, now there's Shadow Games coming down too as well. 3, 5, and 6K damage being done there for Artifact. Wow. They are pushing them off this flag right now. That Nightmarish Reverie. Salves coming down, another Terrifying Inferno, another Shadow Games being thrown out right there. Looks like only connecting with 1 or 2, negative 8K. Ooh, geez. 4 or 5. Ooh, negative 12K damage right there. I wonder if that was from the Burst Strike. Divine Mercy. Ooh, I don't know if I would have thrown that down right there. Usually Divine Mercy, right, to get max use of it, you have to make sure that your units or your side is either staying still or if you're pushing, right? So you usually want to throw that down if you have established a like stabilized half line, meaning that if you guys are fighting it out, no one's pushing on another, or you use it when you are pushing on them, because then you get opportunities to allow for people to heal that are kind of like walking into the heal, right? They'll wait those 8 seconds and then they'll keep moving. You could also use it defensively, like in this, like, see, so now you see how they've stabilized, and here's a good example. Divine Mercy's thrown down. Look at the positioning of when it's thrown down. It's being thrown down when they've stabilized. Both sides are not pushing on one another at this point. You can see the lines are pretty consistent. That's usually a good opportunity to throw it down. Usually the moment that you've stabilized, or you feel like you've stabilized, because that's where you're probably going to get some back and forth PvP before one side pushes another or disengages themselves. Yeah. So, I mean, that was pretty big getting pushed off. I mean, excuse me. We should keep it into perspective that we still would have to look at what the T5 breakdown is. We'll probably look at that here in a moment. But even here, like with LAW, LTS, I mean, I would still even look to utilize some more space. Like, come up here and curve this a little bit, right? Or even like right here, if you will. I mean, yeah, you do have people that are on this side, but you could even just go in that direction, right, as well. And that way you can pick off the people that are here, right? So the example would be, you know, you're coming up, you're like, pew, 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 right? And then it allows for you to establish a line, establish another line, right? That's kind of how you can play that situation out. Again, it is just good tactics, right? As we talk about often, right, the most important part about it is that it allows for you to take less AoE damage and then inflict more AoE damage. Also, the thing is, by spreading out, it allows for you to be a lot more flexible in what side of the line you want to focus more on. It also allows for you, and what I mean by that is, like, if you need to move people left or right or to the middle, you can do so accordingly. If you need to switch focus firing to a certain side of the line, if one side is being pushed more than the other, then you have an opportunity to kind of like move the line up like this, right? Or maybe like this or like this, right? So there's a lot of strategic value in having good lines. Okay, so now LADW LTS is pushing back. I wonder if... Okay, I mean, I'm okay with this. With them pushing back to that point, because they probably don't want to push... I mean, I can understand if they don't want to push on their opponent's territory. I didn't really see anything wrong with them holding where they were. I mean, it's not like they're getting any territory bonuses at this point, at least until the flag's up, right? And I think here in BD's case, you know, I'd rather see them push kind of in a more organized manner, right? You kind of have like this group of 20 or so that's pushing up, but you have a number of people that are still reloading on troops. I mean, look at all these people over here. I mean, look at all the people that are sending troops back, right? Sometimes you don't just want to go in and fight a fight when you don't really have all the numbers together. I mean, it's not as though this is a bad amount or a poor amount, but you could have a lot more people here, right? And sometimes, and we saw this often, if you remember when we were watching TFS fighting against BXS and what was it, EIS and LSK, if I can remember correctly, and we saw them fighting against them here, actually in a similar situation, except they were fighting over here, right? So they were trying to get the Spire and basically fighting them here, right at the edge of kind of that second indented mountain wall there on from the plateau. And what did we often see? We saw them gathering forces before they ended up engaging. So that way, they had a better chance of lasting longer out in the field, and then also being able to have a greater chance of pushing their opponents back because they have, right, a good force that can do that, versus kind of what you're seeing happening now. Numbers are dwindling. You also have to think about resupply lines, right? How fast can you resupply based on where your players are? In this case, I probably would have tried to double build here, right? So I think you put a flag here. I think you could have put a second flag here. And then this way, you're going to allow more people to come out. And then I would have even thought about putting a flag up here too as well, potentially as a third flag, right? But I would have definitely put 2 flags here. And I say that because this is a foothold position. And in order to overcome someone that already has a territory advantage on you, at least in one way, is you place more territory down than them. And if you do that, you will allow yourself to then move more of your player cities to your forward position or your forward operating base or area. And because of that, now your resupply times are a lot faster, right? Now the people that are in the back get to move their cities up, and the people farther back than them get to move their cities up as well, right? So it's all a ripple effect. Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't think I should need to explain territory. Tactics. I'm just joking. This is actually a good conversation, to be honest. But yeah. Make it count. Piana's watching. Hey, it's good stuff, man. I'm here for all of it. It's good stuff. That's good stuff. I'm not gonna lie. That is too funny. There we go. Let's move this over. I think the other one is still sleeping, man. Gotta give her a huge shout out. Yeah, and then we got the others. So I'll give this a sec, and then we will go through the top player board, just whenever it dies out a little bit. Yeah, but even like I said, from LTS, LADW, I still would like to see a little bit more spread here. It's just, again, it's good practice, right? Especially when you start going up against stronger teams, right? Like BXS, EIS, like there were a number of moments, them and TFS, we're doing spreads really well. And it wasn't always the case in earlier seasons. Like, these are things that some of the top alliances are really starting to understand what the true benefit is behind doing this. And then beyond that, right, there's different levels, right? There's kind of different tiers to this, where typically one of the things that I think, and again, I'll probably have to, at some point in time, do a video where I kind of talk about tactics and strategies and, you know, kind of like, if you're an alliance, what are the most important things to work on as like a step 1, a step 2, a step 3, a step 4, as it pertains to becoming PvP ready and getting your alliance to kind of KVK, I guess, readiness status, or just prepped. Because there are certain things that I think are really important to work on in the beginning. And then as you continue building on those, then you kind of move on to the next thing. And if I was to say, you know, what do I think is the most important thing to work on first and foremost, I think it really is just formation and positioning. That to me is the number one thing, is you need to be able to work on formations, you need to understand positioning, on when you engage, on when you disengage, on when you spread, on when you don't, on how you're focusing, on where you focus. Things like callouts, having war leads, so to speak, that can kind of... And again, I think having dedicated chats, I think, is really important. And I wish the game gave us more customization options. Like, let me give you one thing that I think the game can do, just from a chat perspective, that would help out so much for so many people. And the example would be, if you're in an alliance, you can make an alliance chat for your alliance, and then players can put that chat as the primary one, right? So an example is, like, look, I can star stuff. So, like, here, let me just give you an example here, right? Like, I can star these things. However, and I'm not in an alliance right now, but an example would be if I could choose what shows up here and the priority order that these chats show up in. And it would be cool if there was another option for that outside of the star, where maybe I can go to the right and I could say like this, or there could be like a little pin, like maybe a little pin icon. And if I select the pin icon for a chat, whether it's a DM chat or whatever it may be, that is what will show up here. And then based on the order I have top down, that is the order that this shows in, right? Because, and let me explain why this would be so beneficial, is because you don't want to use Alliance chat as your war chat. You want to use a dedicated private chat or another group chat, like an Alliance chat, that has all your Alliance members in it, but you want to use that as your live wartime feed. Because there's always going to be people that just may not want to talk about war in your Alliance chat in that moment, and that's okay. You want to have the flexibility to be able to still talk about anything in your Alliance chat, but then you want to have a dedicated war chat where you're able to just talk about everything from, hey, this is what we're doing now, right? You're just giving out like real-time orders, real-time instructions, real-time actions. That, to me, I think is a lot more important. I also think it'd be dope if they came out with like some advanced war general role where the general could indicate certain things on the field. Like an example would be the general could... so if you played League of Legends, it's a great example. If you played League of Legends, you know how in League of Legends you can ping anywhere on the map, right? You don't have to have your champion there. You don't have to have your hero there. You can ping anywhere on the map, and that ping could say something like retreat, attack, push. Imagine if they added those things in. Like, look at the League of Legends system. Look at the Dota system. And if they added those types of world pings that you can have, like where you put someone into that role, right? So it's not something that everyone can do. Like, I think it really should be something where you have to have a dedicated role that the leader gives. So, like, the leader could maybe do it. So it's like the leader could do it, or the leader has to assign someone, an officer, that role, right? So the officer could do it if the leader's not there. And then you're basically just, or even if they just want the officer to do it instead of the lead. But to me, I think like the lead plus someone who is given that role should be able to do it. Now, you could make the argument anyone that's an officer and a lead should be able to do that as well, and I might be okay with that. But I'm just saying to kind of start out. And then that person, when they're on, is able to put those pings out and really assist the group of people there with visual aids, right? Think about it. It's the same thing as when someone pops an emoji from their character, right? The same thing as when someone hits a skill, the Shadow Games thing pops up. It's the same thing. The only difference is that you're just able, it's like the same thing as like when you're placing a flag down, right? Everyone can see the flag, right? And everyone can read what's on the flag. But this is just something where it's like you ping it and maybe it lasts 2 or 3 seconds, right? Maybe up to 5 seconds, but I think probably 2 to 3 is probably okay at that point, especially if everyone's on in real time. So that to me is the next level that we need to get to, because I think it's going to allow for these kinds of fights to improve and to really take us to that next stratosphere, if you will, right? Really pushing the boundary and the standard that we could be at. Yeah. And I just think it would just make PvP a lot better overall and a lot more enjoyable. Because then think about it, you don't have to, at that point, you don't really have to hard rely on chat. You don't even have to hard rely on being in voice, even though, yes, you should still be in voice, as many people as that can when you're fighting, because it's always going to probably be the number one, right? And then it's probably something like what I was saying with like the real-time global pings that you can do would be number 2, and then your live chat would probably be like number 3. But I think those are 2 things that they can add to the game that would really amplify war and PvP and make it so we can have more structured fighting, more quality fighting as well overall. Man, I just totally went on a rant right there because I got so excited about this idea that I just thought of. And you guys are seeing it, man. Like, this is my excitement, right? Again, I love watching PvP, and anything that kind of comes to me while we're watching, you know, even if we're drawing inspiration from other games that we think can apply here in CoD, I think it's very much one of those. So BD pushing. Oh, yo, there's our girl JQ Lisa, wherever she was. Dang it, did your unit just die? No, she's right there. There's the thing. Yeah. I have to think, man. There's a number of other people here that I know. I can't think of it right now in real time. Sometimes I just notice it randomly. Let's see though. Are they building now? So BD's getting some support. I mean, they still have a lot of people though. Like a lot of these. Like, come on, Laddish. What are you doing? Let's call you Laddie. Come on, Laddie. Bonnie Merguez. Yeah, that sounds like a name that wouldn't move and just sit there. The Goober. I get that. Rex Strife. Come on, Quinito. Let's go. Hurry up and bust out your twin blades. All right. Oh, so wow. So there's a few less people building now. Oh, they're upgrading. Oh, interesting. So they're upgrading, and now LAW is placing a flag here. This isn't a bad idea with them placing the flag here, in a sense. I mean, they probably have to do it no matter what, but it's also not a bad idea because they're just also removing potential territory that BD could be getting at that point. Oh, wow. Flag goes, ooh, Gunzo. Really good TP spot. This is a good TP spot. This is how you do it. You TP as close as you can to the edge. I mean, maybe he could have moved or they could have moved a little more in that direction, but TPing as close as you can to the edge is the best way to do it. In addition, This person, Alda, could have actually TP'd closer here to Feraldo. I mean, again, you really have to think about good TP positioning. Same thing here with Dong T, right? You should be going to the edge here, right? This is the most ideal thing. If there was opportunities to get a little bit closer here to this node, probably should have already like aimed to farming nodes too as well in the area as early as you could have, right? Again, remember, we're always talking about that territory prep. How are you doing that when you're in war, right? You start, again, depleting nodes as much as you can. You can even do something where you have, think about something like Greenfinger Sickle, right, as an artifact where it will drain a portion of the resources from a tile. Think about if you had every single person in your alliance that attached that to one unit, and they started and they just each went back to back on nodes. You could clear out nodes easily within 2 to 3 flag territories worth, 2 to 3 flag placements worth, and now you're able to get a lot more people in to the territory, right, as a quick way, and then you have some of the stronger people, if you need to, clearing out some of the Darklings. I mean, you can really become efficient. And again, these are things I'll probably do in a later video when we talk about, you know, having like how to prep territory when you're fighting in real time, and even ahead of time, because there are a number of ways that you can do it. You just got to think a little bit outside the box. Okay, but yo, BD's coming out to fight though, man. I'm gonna say that. You know, even though again LTW, LTS was able to push them off. You know what? The next thing I'm gonna be curious about, and let's just go out a little bit so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So BD is here, LTS, LADW here. You have LADW, BP, and PS. They're all working their way over here. Right, I think there should be a flag. This flag should be close to being done. I'm shocked. So 10 minutes on that one from LADW after they cap the Spire. There is BP. I think they should be working on their flag here. Okay, they got 36 minutes on that one. And then we have on the southern side, PS. I think they're building over here. Okay, so they're building and they're taking the Spire right now. So that's going to be a little bit more time. Flag on that 40 minutes, and then they'll be able to place another one. I wonder if they're going to come up and help. That's the next thing for me. Oh, interesting. Right? Because they could be pressuring them at this Spire. Are they? Oh, they are setting up. Oh, my gosh. Okay, good job. I just want to say that. This is fantastic. This is exactly what should have been happening, right? I would argue even pushing up, and that's the thing, right, is that now LTS... So, oh, I see. So LTS is kind of fighting here. LAW's fighting BD. I mean, but this is good, though. The only difference I'm going to say here is that it should be more people here than just PS, right? That's the number one thing right now. So as an example, like, let me give you 2 examples here. If you want to say, like, you could have sent LADW to send units over here to go and assist BD. That could have been one thing. You could also say that BP should be already over here where PS is, right? So again, and you could have done this either way. You could have BD fight this out, and then LADW and BP go over here with PS, so they can have layers. Like, think about it, right? It's almost like you have PS here, BP over here, LADW over here, and you're just, again, delaying and trying to hold them off with your 3 alliances here at the level 4 Spire, as much as you can. Or you could have sent LADW up here to BP and kind of play this out as a 2v2. Sadly, that's not... And now, again, there is still plenty of time for that to happen, and maybe it will, but this is something that you kind of have to think of in advance. There's a lot of value in being able to hold them off here, and even if it's just delaying them, so that way you could have PS, because PS, frankly, is probably the closest... they are by far the closest to getting the dragon and getting up to this bridge choke. Before you'll end up having them, because they have to come down all this way as well and come over here. I think there's less flags getting from here to here than there is them coming down here through the bridge across and then up. Or I'm sorry, they have to go to the bridge and they have to come up here to the T-choke, right? I don't know if they can go through. I have to double check that again. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, so see, they can't go through and over. So they're kind of stuck. However, when you come across the bridge here, you just have to go right up, right? or wherever it is, wherever Dragon's at. Hang on, where is it? Yeah, right here. Oh, no, sorry. It is right here. So you come here, right? This is the route that PS is going. And then again, you can come up here and come over here and bam, there's Dragon, right? Or you break out here and then you come across. But again, Dragon is pretty much right below the bridge. So it is in PS's interest to push this. But at the same time, LADW and BP, again, need to be assisting as well, right? So hopefully they will. Is really kind of my point there. Where are we at? We're at 30 minutes right now, and they're still going hard. Jeez. Man. All right. Well, listen, fam, I want to keep going. I really do, but you guys know me. I like to try and keep my matches to about my PvP recordings to about 20, 30 minutes. I'm still going to try and get some more PvP as well, but at least for now, I'm going to go ahead and close this one off. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this one for ST1-13. This is an exciting matchup, along with ST1-17, right? There's a lot of PvP happening in Final Zone. There's going to keep being a lot of PvP happening. So please feel free. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Who do you think is going to win? What do you think how they should be playing this situation out as well for the 4 alliances on their side, right? On how they can kind of maximize against LTS and LTW, along with what do you think the strategy? I mean, personally, I think the strategy right now between LTS and LAW is pretty sound. I think they're doing the right things as far as getting out and flagging already on this north side and kind of winning out that choke that's allowing LAW, LTS to push down south in order so they can start kind of getting to Dragon and getting to those next major choke point positions. But again, would love to hear from you. That's going to do it for me. As always, until next time, I'll catch y'all later.